school we have learnt about mountains, but what are they like in real life? Let's find out! This video is about my journey to see 2 sets of mountain ranges in Europe and learn about their physical features and what humans do there. The mountains we will explore are the Jura Mountains in France and part of the Alps in Switzerland. First, we start our journey by driving to the Jura Tunnel on the south coast of England. Here, cars and big lorries transporting goods travel to Europe under the sea.
The fish? No, because we're in a tunnel.
In France, we drive for many hours along flat roads until suddenly the Jura Mountains pop up. The Jura Mountains form a part of the border between France and Switzerland. They are a subalpine mountain range, which means a low-lying mountain range at the foot of the high Alps.
We are in the Jura Mountains, and because it's so lower than the Alps, there's more forestry and also there's more flat ground.
The summit is 1,720 metres above sea level, which is quite low for Europe, but the Juras are still higher than our tallest mountain, Ben Nevis. Jura means forest, and nearly half of the Jura are covered by forests, which are used by humans as timber. Only 8% of land in the Jura Mountains has human settlements. From the Jura Mountains, we pass by the wonderful Lake Geneva at 372 metres above sea level. It is a deep, very big lake on the north side of the Swiss Alps. It is surrounded by mountains. In summer, we swim in this huge clear lake. Alps were formed about 44 million years ago when 2 huge tectonic plates slowly collided, pushing up to the ground to form massive mountain peaks. This big crash took place over tens of millions of years. That's a long time. A lot of the mountain features I will show you were carved out of mountain rock by huge blocks of ice, slowly pushing dirt, soil and other materials out of their way like huge bulldozers. These are called glaciers. A glacier is a huge mass of ice that moves slowly over land. The term glacier comes from the French word glacer, which means ice. Glaciers are often called rivers of ice. Glaciers form on mountainsides where snow piles up and over many years turns from light, fluffy crystals to hard, heavy and very thick ice. The glacier then creeps down the mountain a few inches or feet a year, scraping, bashing and crushing everything in its way. Can you imagine just how heavy and strong the ice flow must have been? Glaciers started bowl-shaped mountain hollows at the top of the mountains called cirques. Lac de Vaux, near to my house, is an example of a cirque. The bowl where a glacier once started. Now it is filled with water in summer and frozen in winter. We can only see the features that the glaciers dug out because the earth warmed up and big ice rivers melted. Let's have a look at the valleys that the glaciers left behind. Down beneath us is the valley, and we're just being lifted up to the top of the valley. You can see that the valley is very wide. This is because a huge glacier carved a big U shape out of the rock. When the ice melted, it revealed a fertile, flat land which is much easier for humans to live and work in than the cold and often harsh mountain tops. There's a big gap between the mountains. That's what happened. The tectonic plates bashed together, crumpling the earth. Big mountains with a V-shaped drops like this were formed. Snow fell, filled the V-shaped valley, and formed a massive ice river which used boulders as big as houses to form a U-shaped groove. The ice then melted, leaving glacial lakes like warm Lake Geneva at the bottom. Cold lac du Vaud type cirques were left high up, as well as fertile ground for humans to grow delicious crops on. We are now in the valley, and these are the lines that break through on for wine. In summer, the valley is filled with fruit and vegetables, which people sell. The Swiss often make their own Swiss wine, which my parents say is very tasty. As the valley is wide and flat, it is easy to transport goods and travel around. That's why there's so much human settlement here. It's trickier to live high in the mountains, but very beautiful. Now the valley is very industrial. In the valley, but look how high the mountains are. There is no such thing as Swiss language. Most people in the Swiss Alps speak French, German, and some Italian. In my village, they speak mostly French. From Geneva, we drove along the valley floor. Then we drove 10 miles up the very steep Swiss Alps to my family village of La Zuma, on the north-facing slopes of Verbier. Tzoumaz is a small village. In winter, the village is covered in snow and people visit to enjoy the fresh air and snow sports. Otherwise, there are only 300 people. There is very little air pollution, which is great for breathing. Traditional Swiss chalets are made of wood, as it is an insulating material, good at keeping homes warm during cold winters. Chalets usually have a wide, gently sloping roof with little ridges on them. Like the avalanche gates that I'll tell you about later, the roofs are designed to stop the snow sliding off in a big chunk and landing on your head. My house is made of wood and concrete and is set in a beautiful forest. The road runs past the house, but it is no problem if it is blocked in winter, as the ski slope is just outside. People can even ski to school or even the shops. My house is 1,620 metres above sea level. It is so high that we can often see the clouds below us floating down the valley. It looks like a cosy white magic carpet. The sky at night is filled with stars as it's so dark. This is because there's no light pollution. There are 4 distinct seasons, each very beautiful. And my favourite is winter. Let's have a look at my local mountain in winter. Behind me, you can see the ridge of the mountain. Behind me is the summit of the mountain, and that means the top. This morning it was super cold, il fait froid, but now it's super hot, il fait chaud. On this south-facing slope, because the sun's pointing in that direction, all of the snow, nearly all of it, has disappeared. But over there, in the north point, there's much more snow because the sun is further away, so that makes it more snowier. Avalanches can be deadly, and they are taken very seriously in the mountains. I'm going to show you now the avalanche gates that stop the avalanche from going down and killing people. There are several reasons why avalanches happen, including after there's been a heavy snowfall, landing on compacted snow and ice, causing a huge slab of snow to plummet down the mountain. In the mountains, we use the same types of transport as in England, except in winter. Some of the roads are closed, usually from December to April, and we get to ski instead.
And what this is skiing down now is, in the summer, is the road for the cars to drive. But in the winter, there's so much snow here that it's closed to cars.
They use the aeroplanes to travel. This is the airport on top of the mountain.
farmers bring their cows to graze the grass and make cheese.
Even though La Zuma is at a high altitude, the summers are lovely and warm. There is so much to do, exploring the wonderful mountains, magical meadows of alpine flowers, and world-famous mountain bike trails. You can even strap your bike to the ski lift if you don't fancy going uphill. There's lots of water in Switzerland, and the Swiss try their best to look after the environment. Almost 60% of electricity in people's homes come from hydroelectric power plants, where gravity pushes water down from the big dams. Then energy from the flowing water turns a big turbine which converts the energy to electricity. Swiss trains and even the buses in Geneva run on electricity, so the city air is nice and fresh too. It's time to leave the mountains for a while, this time by taking the train past Lake Geneva to the airport.
I see something upstairs on the train. It's a double-decker train. Look how interesting this train seat is. It's a sofa. Here we're going on by Lake Geneva.
Prochain arrêt, Montreux.
People enjoy sailing on the lake.
I hope you enjoyed learning about the mountains. They are one of my favourite places to be.